So what we want to do is cultivate a capacity for kindness. So, close your eyes. Take a few moments to breathe in and breathe out. So what we want to do is cultivate a capacity for kindness. So, close your eyes. Take a few moments to breathe in and breathe out. Hello. Welcome, chat. Welcome to another Healthy Gamer GG stream. My name is Alok Kanoja. Just a reminder that although I'm a psychiatrist, nothing we discuss on stream today is intended to be taken as medical advice. Everything is for educational or entertainment purposes only. If y'all have a medical question or concern, please go see a licensed professional. So we're going to hop right into creator group stream. This is something that we're doing that's a little bit different. Hopefully people are kind of familiar with what we're doing now, but we're working with a group of content creators longitudinally over time to help them figure out a little bit about themselves and supporting them in making the best content or living their best lives. So let's go ahead and hop in. Hello.
Sincerely.
Okay, we're streaming, all right? So whatever y'all are saying, be aware.
Oh, okay.
Hello.
I don't want anyone to get in trouble if we're talking about indigenous people. Okay, hold on.
We were discussing the origins of Thanksgiving because like different countries have Thanksgiving, and who had the first one? You know, where I don't want people to get the wrong idea here.
No, it was all very tame. I swear.
Sounds like it. So, hey everyone, how y'all doing today?
I'm good.
I'm good.
So let's start with check-ins. So for check-ins today, tell us a little bit about how you are today. How's the week been? If y'all got a chance to do the homework, share a little bit about what y'all kind of learned. And then what I'd really like to focus on today is sort of like we're past sort of the halfway point, or maybe we're at the new halfway point, and just checking in with a little bit about what do y'all want to accomplish over the next, like, let's say 4 weeks. Like, we'll see. We can always extend further if we want to, but now that we've like learned how to talk to each other a little bit, now that we kind of understand a little bit about what we want to face, or what are the challenges that we face, how can we help each other like grow and accomplish what we want to? And so I'm going to, just so y'all understand, I'm going to sort of shift things in that direction a little bit more. So we explore, and then we use that exploration to sort of build a roadmap. It doesn't necessarily mean like I want to, accomplish X, Y, Z by next Tuesday. So it doesn't necessarily have to be explicit goal setting, but just where would you like to see yourself a month from now? So let's start with check-ins. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first. Yeah, this week has been a lot. So I think I said last week I'm gonna move. I moved. I'm in a new place. And it was difficult, and we're still moving. We just got hot water today. So yeah, it's just I don't know. Moving is hellish, and I hate moving, but I do it every year. It feels like anyways. And then as far as the homework is concerned, with the idea of help, and that I found myself in this kind of catch-22 when I was thinking about like the idea for asking for help, because on one hand, I think when you need help, like it becomes this like limit testing thing where you're like, exactly to how much necessity do I have to need help before I can ask for help? And then if I don't actually need that help, why am I asking in the first place? So then I was like, okay, well, things I want to ask help for, well, holding a door. I was like, I don't know, like, I don't know if I would ask somebody to hold a door for me, but it feels low enough of an ask for me to be like, oh yeah, that sounds okay. And then on my other list was like, how about, I don't know, say figuring out my like job search stuff, right? And like, well, that seems like a much more involved ask, and I'm not sure if I really do want. Yeah, so anyways, like that was like the thing that went through my head a lot between this, was just like, um, you know, I generally am, I think there's a part of me that wants to avoid asking for help if I don't need it. I figure I should probably think about why that is, and then also why I feel like so often I feel like I can always just take on things in order to, whatever. And so like, and then even then when I ask for help, sometimes if it's not the exact help that I really wanted from that person, then I start to think, well, maybe I should have done it myself anyways, because I probably maybe could have handled that better or something, like, so sometimes that runs through my mind too. So yeah. And then in terms of like where I want to be in a month, I mean, I feel like as you guys known now for a couple weeks, like I'm in this sort of weird search for like what I even want and to kind of crystallize like for myself what is a motivator for me, what drives me that is independent of other people. And not that I need to find that in the next 4 weeks, but like even knowing how to even start that conversation with myself, because honestly, like I don't know. So yeah, I think that's where I'm at. So that is my check-in.
Cool. Thanks for sharing, Zell.
Shall I go? So yeah, I like a lot of things that Zell just said about asking for help were the same for me. This week has been pretty good. I had my visa interview on Monday, which was like literally like turning off a stress switch. Like when I didn't realize like how much it had been stressing me. I slept 12 hours on Friday to Saturday and woke up in the evening and lost my weekend because I was so tired. And I think like I haven't been sleeping because my dog's got diabetes. He's been keeping me up, and we needed some documents for Monday, and we got them on the Friday, and it was like a switch in my head that finally let me like rest. So I slept a lot. I slept like 12 hours and then like just chilled on the Sunday. Like I kept trying to do stuff, but then I couldn't because I was just tired. Monday the interview went well, I think, hopefully. And yeah, the rest of the week's been pretty good. It's like I feel like I want to make content again in other ways. And not for the sake of making content again. Like recording some YouTube stuff and just doing some other things, but I'm happy like just having a go and seeing if that's where I want to go with it. And yeah, so I feel in a good place with all of that. The asking for help thing, I've literally had it written on a piece of paper on my desk since last Thursday, and I've not been able to write anything down until today because I've done that, like the ADHD brain. It's like literally in the hour before like being here, I wrote 2 things down, but I couldn't write down 5, and I couldn't. It's very similar to Zell. Like I kept going through like, oh, what do I need help on? Lots of things, but do I really need to ask for help? Like, is it really like, I don't know if I want to say the word bad. It's like, is it really that bad? Is it, I could just do it myself eventually. But the 2 things I wrote down was like, my OBS is a mess. I need some new overlays and I need like a bunch of stuff sorted. I know how to do it and I've got all the knowledge, but I've just been struggling for a long time to try and even get it done. So like it would be nice to have some help there, I guess. And the other thing, like something that I would like, I think what I would really like to have people that I could just chat about planning my content with. That sounds really like, I think a lot of people, I think especially since I've been back here at my parents', like they don't understand, so they make remarks of, oh, you just stream for 4 hours a day and then you're free. It's like, what else are you doing down there at that room, and what are you doing at your computer? And it's like, well, I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. Like, what am I doing? So yeah, I think planning my content, like being able to brainstorm ideas, like I do it on my own, but then it doesn't really always get somewhere because I'm on my own and you can easily talk yourself out of things, or what's a good idea one day, or you're really focused on one day, can be like gone the next day really easily. Like I can lose and go in and out of focus of ideas really quickly. As my chat know, my literally, I'll be streaming, I'll be like, I've got an idea, and then their response would be, I'm scared, or really? What's this one? Like, what's your genius idea today, Ruby? Like, that you're never gonna do. So yeah, that they were the two things, but generally really hard. Didn't know why it's so hard to just, yeah, all week I just stared at the question. So yeah, that's
I'm curious. So Ruby said something about she's thinking about making content again, but not in the way of like making content again. She said something like that, right? I didn't quite catch what she said. Do y'all, and everyone nodded, like I understood what she meant. Did y'all know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, like creating content not for the sake of it, like, but for doing it for something like you actually wanted to make. I think that's different because like I think every content creator probably feels this, but like every content creator knows that like you're supposed to make XYZ amount of content per week, per day, per whatever. And so then you start filling in those needed gaps with whatever content you feel like because you just have the need to put out that content, right? Like it's just like content for the sake of content. And then it sounds like what Ruby's saying is, well, I also want to chase down content that like isn't just a necessity, but something that like I want to do. And I think that was the point there.
How would y'all describe a content creator who makes content every day because they need to make content?
a robot.
What do you imagine
Tired.
that person is experiencing or feeling?
That
Maybe it
person's
seems
godlike. I don't know.
passionless.
Sorry, Kathy?
Maybe it seems passionless, like if they're
Passionless?
just churning out content, but they're not really putting their heart and their creativity into it. Um, I guess maybe the content looks good to others, but to them, it's just like it's just product I'm putting out. I haven't really invested myself into it.
Like, what's the difference between that and a 9 to 5? Like, not to say that a 9 to 5 is bad, but like when we say the term 9 to 5, it's like you punch in, you do the thing, and you leave. And content creation, when people say like, "Oh, stream what you want," or like it's supposed to be this like creative like output thing that's supposed to be freeing, and if you're not doing that, then what are you doing? So
Yeah, that's what I thought too. It sounds like if you're just putting out content just for the sake of it, it does sound like a 9 to 5 in a negative sort of way. Something
I'm
you
cracking up because I was like so positive on it. Whereas
No,
I think everyone here.
it's important, right? Because when we're in that state, and by the way, we call that state burnout, tired, soulless, passionless, robot, right? And that's the ideal for a lot of content creators. That's what you want to, like, we also have another word for it when we idealize it, which is grind. I'm grinding every single day, and I want to be grinding. I don't want to be burnt out. I want to be grinding. It looks very similar. The other thing is, do y'all think that that's how Ruby is feeling now? Like, is she burnt out and tired and a robot? What's she suggesting to y'all?
It just sounded like she's interested in trying out new things, um, spice things up a bit. Maybe she does recognize it feels like, oh, I'm just putting out content for the sake of it. Let's explore new mediums.
Yeah. And what does she want to, what is she looking for in terms of help or maybe something that we can offer her? Did y'all catch anything that jumped out to you?
Maybe like whiteboarding ideas. Since we're content creators ourselves, we're peers, so we can offer suggestions or just even like take it in. Because I think people, if they talk their thoughts and plans out loud, it actually helps them. Maybe they're like, oh, actually, I don't want to do this anymore. It sounds weird.
Yeah. So
I mean,
so
I've also had another streamer like help me like spring clean my OBS because I remember one time like all my scenes it was like 4 years in and I was like, why do we even have this? Like I don't remember even using this. What is this? And like in you're just thinking, "D- why did I even have this? It's like it's literally like spring cleaning your house and you find
I have
something
a
you didn't
I have a dancing
have.
Santa if you want to see it on my OBS. I have all sorts of stuff on there.
yes. So what I'm hearing is that, we talk about creator burnout a lot. I think maybe we saw a little bit of creator burnout last week with Ruby, and maybe a little bit prior to that as well. But what I'm hearing, I know it's a weird word, maybe it's too strong of a word. I'm hearing that maybe Ruby's a little bit inspired to make some content again, and that she's interested in talking to someone about it. Right. So maybe we can do that, as Kathy sort of said. And I really liked Kathy's pivot. She was like, oh, like maybe we can offer suggestions or whiteboard. But actually, she was sort of saying like taking it in and then kind of acknowledging that Ruby may not need us to advise her in any way, that she's got lots of ideas and maybe we can be kind of like a sounding board where she can just think out loud with us and we can maybe ask a couple of questions and help her take this sort of like slight tiny little candle flame of inspiration and sort of help that grow in kind of a healthy way. So strong work to y'all for helping Ruby get here, and we're going to see if we can help her get further.
Thank you.
As far as check-ins, I guess uh so uh I headed up to see my folks because Canadian Thanksgiving, the segue. Canadian Thanksgiving was last weekend. And I couldn't really make it up because of a few issues. And so I came up this week to torment my mom and get some things done and I got I got my hair colored again, and it's this weird peachy bubblegum thing. I don't know what it is, but it's fine. And honestly, part of me feels like I'm not me unless I have my hair colored, and maybe that sounds weird, but like I spent like I originally colored my hair for charity like milestone, and then after we did it, I just sort of really liked it, and it's been I don't know about 2-3 years of it now, where when I don't have it colored, I don't really feel like me, and so getting it done genuinely makes me feel better. Also, not having hair that I can't manage because I don't know. I'm not very good at hair. But anyway, um besides that, as far as the homework goes for me, you asked me um, about, being scared to raid someone uh, who was bigger than me or why I'm afraid of it. And I guess part of it has to do with the fear of like looking like a failure, but I don't feel like a failure when it comes to my community. But when people see the check mark, they expect, or at least I in my head, I have it that they expect a certain amount of people to come in with you. And when you don't have that, it makes me wonder what they're thinking. And I think I'm spending a lot of time thinking about what other people are thinking. Um, and numbers are, always interesting. And when I finish up a stream and it's not exactly amazing that night, sometimes friends or mods will tell me like, "Oh, it's a tough time of year," or "Summers are always tough," or this time of year is always tougher. It's back to school or it's a holiday or something like that. And the more that I hear that, not to like throw anything at them, but I just kind of feel like, man, it always sounds like every day is a tough time of year. Um, Especially now because it's post-pandemic, so people aren't really spending as much time cooped up inside. And I genuinely feel like across the board, viewership might have dipped a little bit on the platform. I don't know. But for other people, that's probably not true. I just, this summer especially, when I saw people getting partnered, I was like, oh man, that's amazing. How did you do that? That's incredible. Because I saw a lot of established streamers have their numbers dip too, and I'm like, why am I paying attention to everyone else's numbers? Like, so even this week, there in streamer Twitter drama, which is always lovely. Um, it flared up again, and it comes like goes like every maybe like once or twice a month or whatever, where somebody says something about partners should have to reapply if they hit a certain threshold or something like that, or like annually reapply. And I just thought like, you know how much of a pain in the ass it was to get this check mark? Like if I had to, if they told me, we're taking it away unless you hit this again, like I'd go do something else. And it's not that partner was the be all and end all of it. It's that if they're gonna make me feel like it's an inevitable thing that you have to try again for every year after all the agony that I went through to get it, like I don't have that in me anymore. So, um, yeah, that's that's my thoughts on my homework.
Cool.
I guess it's my turn. So I was gone last week. So in Europe for work. I was in Europe for work. Before that, I was in TwitchCon for San Diego. So basically, been hopping everywhere. Just got back home on Sunday from Europe, adjusting to the jet lag. Uh, and then I got the news that my grandmother, um, she collapsed, so she had to be taken to the hospital. Unfortunately, she didn't make it. She passed away yesterday, so that's why I'm here. I flew out again right after I came back in, spending time with my family, making sure everyone's okay, because emotions and tempers are very high. It's a little exhausting because everyone is kind of fighting, and them just here to make sure, no one gets kicked out again. Just make sure we have all of our affairs in order. So once I take care of that, I'm gonna fly back home tomorrow, actually, back to San Francisco, so I can pack, so I can move out on Sunday. And after I move in on Sunday, then I fly out on Monday for the funeral, where I am expected to give a eulogy. So I have a lot of things going on right now. That is my check-in. I was also not sure if I wanted to come here on the call, because it was a sensitive time, but I felt like kind of calmed down a bit, and I think I already shared what I was going through with my family beforehand. So, like, yeah, just giving an update.
I'm curious if people have reactions to Kathy's check-in.
Rough. I feel so like I mean yeah, like I had just done the move, and even without the family news, like that on that on its own is hard enough, and then on top of that the family stuff, and then I I just feel like from what we know of Kathy too, I feel the way you handle yourself is very much kind of like an iceberg, where on the surface and above you show like just a little bit, but I don't know what might be happening all underneath. And um I hope that you're okay. That's the main thing.
Oh, thank you. I think I'll be okay. I think it feels good to be back home with family. I think I just feel good giving support to them because they really appreciated me being there. Because there's moments where we're trying to just visit her body, or not even her body. She was on life support at the hospital. I have someone stopping me at the front desk. They're like, you hit your visitor capacity. All these people already came in. You can't be there. So I'm like, oh my God, we traveled all this way to be here to be denied. But then I have to collect myself. I have to, persuade the receptionist, like, hey, how can we see our dying grandmother? We're the direct relatives. Like, just trying to keep my cool because if I don't keep it, then we're gonna get kicked out or we're not gonna be able to see her. So and I think my family was like super appreciative of that, of what I was doing for them. So that I think that helps to like fuel me because I'm pretty tired. I've been waking up at like 7 a.m. Yesterday I was with her body. Today we were at her apartment, just like going through everything, like looking for her ID, looking through pictures, and then getting the clothes so we can give it to the funeral home so they can put her in it for the funeral. So I think that's where I'm getting my strength from, like my social support around me.
Are they looking after you as well? Like you're looking after them?
Not really, but I think I have like friends and my boyfriend back home, like they're super supportive. They're like, anything you need, just let me know. But I think just being present with my family, knowing that I'm able to help them out and that my presence is making everything better, makes me feel better and I guess have the energy to keep doing this because so much has happened the past
Yeah.
3 days.
I'm glad you've got someone that you can talk to and that's checking in with you. And yeah, I hope you're all right.
Thank you. I don't know what the homework was. I was very busy.
Oh, you were
I'll
busy?
take it.
With what, Kathy?
Unacceptable.
So,
Are you eating?
Sorry?
Are you eating? Are you
Am I
hydrating?
eating?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have an appetite for a bit, but Korean food is really good. And being back in SoCal, oh my gosh. So I'm very fortunate because I've been saving a lot of money. I kind of knew this day was coming. Came to terms with it. Every time I saw my grandmother, I told her, I loved her, gave her a hug, try to be very patient with her, never feel any like frustration. So that's why I feel like I'm kind of better prepared mentally. And also like having a lot of money saved, like, oh my God, dealing with the services after the body's in the hospital and the mortuary, it's so expensive. Like I was looking at caskets, they're like two to $22,000. And I was just like, do we even want this casket? Do we want cremation? Like, it's just a lot to think about. But I'm like, all right, I gotta manage this because it's gonna make it easier for everybody. They can't really speak English well. They don't know what the system's like. So I'm just here like helping them out. It's kind of sad. Like after your loved one dies, they're like, okay, you got to figure out what you're gonna do with the body. Can't be here for that long. Got to move from this to that. And then here's the funeral service and everything, the flowers, catering, who to invite. Also, like the family drama that you have to manage. Like some people want to see the body, but there's a limited amount of visitors because of COVID. Um, yeah. And then also I have the money prepared, so I'm like, I can pay for it all. And then that was a great insult because they want the eldest to take care of everything. It's kind of like I have to navigate through Korean culture as well.
Korean family politics is
Yes.
like yeah, because I went through some similar when my grandparents passed, and like there was, I mean, it was just, yeah. Eldest son takes care of everything. Everything is now
Yes.
under their belt, and so
Yeah.
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and
They
it's,
were like,
yeah.
do not pull out your credit card. That is the rudest thing you could do right now because they were figuring out how to do the payment. I was like, my card can handle this much money. So just, I was like getting ready. I had my wallet out and then they're like, don't do this.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'll put it away.
Yeah.
so I'm kind of wondering a couple things. First is I'm wondering if Kathy was calculating in when she chose to share. Kathy, do you feel that way? Like, did you feel like sharing early would have disrupted what other people were kind of talking about?
I think so. I wanted to go last because the death is pretty serious, and for others to go after me could cause some awkwardness because they're like, oh, after that, I don't really know what to say. I don't want to kind of share. Then I'm not trying to put attention on myself. It's just like the whole,
Right?
I want everyone to kind of express themselves freely before it came to my turn.
Of course, right? So I, I'm pretty sure if I had asked your colleagues, they would have predicted that. So now we've got an interesting consideration, which is, what are we going to do today? So here's Kathy telling us that something large has happened in her life. And at the same time, sometimes, like, so before we sort of assume that, okay, we're going to let Kathy derail everything, or not derail, but like we're going to prioritize her, right? Because all of us deserve to be prioritized when we need it. And at the same time, I'm sure maybe y'all can understand that maybe she doesn't want to talk about it today. And maybe the reason that she chose to show up is that we're doing work that is important to her too. Like the work that we're doing here is important, and that sometimes when life like gives us setbacks, we actually don't want to spend all day, every day talking about it, thinking about it, and that maybe we could serve as a break for her. How are we going to figure out what we're going to talk about today?
I mean, we should ask Kathy and see how comfortable. The thing is I feel like I've gotten to know Kathy and the way she navigates conversations, and I guess it's just one of those things where, like, if you didn't have to be emotionally receptive to other people and we weren't here, like, how, like, would that change how you would answer? Because, like, I feel like you're always very the Korean word is nunchi. I don't know, like aware of other people's like emotions, I guess. And so I feel like you have that. So I wonder if you weren't trying to be receptive to other people, like would you be down to talk about it? Or if if it isn't a good time for you, then I feel like everyone here wouldn't mind,
I think I'm okay. I said if I didn't feel like I was ready, I would have probably messaged you guys. But yeah, I feel like I'm kind of pulling through it fine. I do want to focus on other people as well because things like this I'll probably talk into more detail with my therapist, with my really close friends and my boyfriend. But I'm happy to share any experiences or answer any questions while I'm going through this. In terms of content creation, once I move out and unpack everything, then I'm getting ready. I feel like I haven't done much streaming while I've been talking to you guys for this whole series. I feel like this is the incubation period for me. Maybe I'm like taking ideas, taking in ways to like, just finally get going. It's been on pause for so long, and I'm definitely interested in getting back out there, playing games, doing something. But for now, it's just like I gotta deal with life stuff. I have to go to Europe, I have to deal with this, but yeah, I think just first and foremost, I'm okay. So I know you guys are being considerate, but I'm very open to exploring other conversational topics.
I almost got the sense that Kathy was a little bit excited to hear about Ruby's like ideas about content creation. I don't know if you felt that way, Kathy, or if you all kind of picked that up, but like that maybe like bouncing ideas or kind of whiteboarding around content creation is maybe what someone who's incubating needs as well. What do people think about that?
Yeah, I'm good with that, and I felt the same thing. Like Kathy's response was, yeah, it was kind of perfect because sometimes you just want to talk about like and hear what other people have got to say, and it can help you like inadvertently like think of other things as well.
So I just want to commend all of y'all for everything we've covered today so far. So I wanted to point out a couple of things. One is Metric earlier was sort of saying that, you know, sometimes when things are a little bit rough, people will reassure him. Did y'all catch that? And for a long time, we've been training ourselves to not reassure each other. Right. And it's kind of interesting because if we listen to Metric, what he kind of said is like, he kind of like, they're trying to tell him, hey, like, hey, it's not your fault, right? Viewership is down. Things are just hard right now. And then he's like, well, it seems like things are hard every day. Like what's going on? And so in that same way, so we know that Kathy has events going on in her life that make it challenging to focus on content creation. And we were able to ask her transparently, like, hey, how can we help you today? Or do you need help? And she's like, actually, I've got a boyfriend, got a therapist, got family. I'm here to do this kind of work. And I just want to acknowledge, I don't know if y'all kind of see this or agree with this, like that's very rare. In most social situations, if someone says, I just lost a loved one and there's a lot of family drama, you can't avoid everyone be like, oh my God, are you okay? Right? So it's like, it's important to express concern. It's important to like hear what she actually has to say though, instead of making assumptions that she's falling apart, that everything is going wrong. It sounds like it's a genuinely stressful situation, and Kathy's here to do the work that we're here to do. And I want to commend y'all for being able to like handle that conversation. Kathy too, y'all includes her, right? Because she chose to show up here when she didn't have to, and no one would blame her for that or the homework or whatever. And so that's really awesome. And I think that the more that y'all do that, what we tend to find from our data is that these kinds of interactions will improve your EQ over time. We've talked about EQ a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
So EQ is like the emotional equivalent of IQ. It sounds like you guys have a Korean word for it, which is kind of like emotional awareness of what other people could be feeling and how to play those, you know, how to like interact with people. But it's literally these kinds of interactions where we're kind of like paying attention to each other instead of making assumptions, following people's lead, asking people open-ended questions that helps us improve those kinds of skills. And we actually see improvements in socialization and empathy and awareness and stuff. So that's awesome. The other thing that I kind of wanted to touch on for a second is I know that we've spent a little bit of time talking to Metric about, I mean, he's shared with us some of his upbringing and things like that, but I'm a little bit curious, how do y'all feel like, do y'all feel like you understand what Metric is going through and maybe how we could help him? Or not help is maybe a strong word, but how we can help him achieve what his goals are?
Can we reiterate what Metric? Can you reiterate like what your goals?
Let's start with this. We're not going to have Metric reiterate.
Okay.
If we can't answer this question, that's an answer in and of itself. Zal, I think we're going to ask your question next, but let's just think about this as a group, right?
I feel like Metric has told us a lot about these individual circumstances, about family, about disappointments, about feedback around things, and like general insecurities. Like I feel like I understand a lot of what Metric goes through, but I don't actually know specifically if I've heard Metric talk holistically about what the like long-term goal or like the most direct goal like pathway is from him. That's and maybe I just missed it and that's on me. But yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's literally been playing on my mind since you said it maybe a few weeks ago, Metric, that you just stream every day and all your time is with like your community, and I don't know why that's stuck with me, but like it's really stuck with me. Like I want you to have more, and I think you want more, and yeah, that's just something that's stuck with me for like weeks. But yeah, it's like you've told us a lot of things and how you feel about yourself in the space and how other people have interacted with you. And it sounds really crap. Like some of it really sucks. Like, and you're really like, I recognize a little bit of like old me in you again, like the self depreciation little one liners that pop in at the end of sentences.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. And like, I know that can be like humor most of the time, but also it kind of like hits me sometimes because I'm like, no. Like, but that's not going to fix anything. Me being like, no, you shouldn't feel like that. So yeah, that's kind of how I feel like. But I just, yeah, I don't know where you want to get to. I don't think I've felt like you've, or maybe I've
so
missed it.
I feel like, say, if I was like super successful at the end of my life and I put out a book, like an autobiography, it would be Get Confident, Stupid, The Life and Times of Metric Seconds. And that would be the title. Get Confident, Stupid. Like, where's the confidence? It just feels like I have the drive and I feel like I have the ability. I feel like, darn it, I'm smart enough. Maybe enough people like me, you know. I can get the attention of a room, but once I have all of that going, it's like the follow through just sucks. It's just I think a lot of it has to do with confidence, with and even when peers of mine who I have extremely high opinions of have something nice to say about me, I'm like literally looking behind me like, are you sure? This guy right here, the guy with the face and thumbs, like this is the guy. Like, so like, I feel like I've always been like that. Um, so that's why it's so easy to discount any achievement or just feel like I don't know. Yeah,
Can I ask you a question?
sure.
I might be like completely off the mark, but if you did have all that success, like the follow through, is it fear? Like, what's stopping you? Like, is it fear? Because I can relate to that in some way that I know I can do certain things, and sometimes the fear stops me.
I'm
But
terrified of being
like,
so. Um, like every single time an opportunity comes along and I try to go for it, like it almost feels like I'm reaching out with one hand and I'm grabbing my own wrist with the other. Like, whoa, you might not deserve this, or um, that killer instinct. It's not there that other people have. Not necessarily killer instinct, or at least like just the ability to like speak up for yourself. Like when you win arguments from 5 years ago in the shower. That's me. I'm that guy. Like, yeah, I should have said that. That was the third grade. I really should have said that. Man, that kid would have been embarrassed, you know? So, yeah.
You think it's hard to take compliments? Like if someone came up to you, Metric, and was like, dude, you've got it all. Like you've got all the skills. You can do it. You have the charisma to hold it. Like, is your first instinct to like be like, oh no, that's not me? Like, because I feel like, yeah, I don't know. I get the sense that I feel like the pieces feel like they come together a little bit for me with like and you've said it yourself now too, where it's like that confidence, and I feel like some of the some of the things that like you say, I feel like come from that uncertainty of your own confidence. And I think like some of the quips and stuff, like I don't know if it would be like helpful to like point those out, but like I feel like sometimes you do this thing where you kind of like it's like the hokey pokey where you like kind of stick a leg in to test the water, and then
Yeah.
you like stick it right back out because you're like, I don't know how they'll react to it. And I don't know, do you notice that for yourself? I don't know if other people have
Oh, yeah.
noticed that, but
So I would say that like growing up where I did, I was like the only brown kid in my school. Um, and so I got a lot of racism. And I figured out that I could just be really smart about it. And if I made more fun of myself and better than anyone else did, that I basically take their ammunition away. Um, and so beyond that, like, leaving a racist environment, if I feel like someone's going to make fun of my looks or the things I say or the way I talk or, even how I stream or something like that, um, I can jump on it first. And it's a way to disarm people because if you have no ammunition, because if I did it better than you, you have nothing. Um,
do you
so
do you like doing that?
no.
You yeah, okay. Like the reason why I asked is, because like I feel like that stuff kind of carries with sometimes how you hold yourself, and I wonder if it would be helpful for us to like point it out when it happens, and to be like, no, Vetrick, you don't have to like try to disarm us like that,
That's
like
interesting, actually.
because
That's why like my closest friends, they don't jump on me. They don't make fun of me and stuff and I feel genuinely safer. Uh, and it means a lot. Uh, but when it comes to people that, I don't talk to every day or I don't know very well, um, I I know I literally did it the day that we started before, Dr. K had us on, where I said, I'm so vain, I paid for Discord Nitro just so that I could have the custom background. And literally, I called myself vain. Like, so that way, if any of you thought I was vain, at least I took it away from you first. And why would I do that? Like, we're literally here to better ourselves. Like, I'm not coming here to have you judge me, like but I did it because that's easy. Because it's protective in a weird way. So
Look at how good Metric is at pointing out all of his flaws.
Yeah, I was about to say, do you think by being like this, it affects the way other people interact with you? Like how do you think it affects how other people interact with you? Because
it's
yeah.
probably a cycle. So because then they might actually be encouraged to say something bad, and then I just feel worse, and then I'm more likely to say something bad about myself again. Probably. So, but then like growing up, I feel like my father never actually had anything nice to say about me. So I think a lot of that stems from that. Um, and I desperately wanted his approval, and I don't think I ever had it. So, um, I mean, that's for me and a therapist for the rest of my life to figure out. But because y'all can't fix that in 4 weeks. That's a spicy meatball right there.
Do you think if you said something good about yourself, what would happen then? If you was to sit here and say something really good about yourself, like how would that feel? Like, and you genuinely thought it. You must think there's something like a good thing about yourself.
I can think it, but if I say it out loud, it feels like it's brag.
Feels
It
like
feels
it's
like it feels
It's
like it's like
bragging.
self-aggrandizing,
okay.
or yeah, sorry, that it's that if it's true, I shouldn't have to say it. I should just do it. But
I
then,
relate
yeah.
to a lot of that. I just want to point that out. Like, same thing. Like, I grew up in the Midwest. There's not a lot of Asian people out in Minnesota, especially out in the suburbs. I was the only Asian kid, and like I remember I was invited over to a Thanksgiving dinner. Wow, Thanksgiving keeps coming back up. But apologize for my language here, but it was like my friends that like told me like, oh, like, you know, you're the only Asian guy here. You know, you're the chink of the chain. I was like, at the time, I was like, haha, that's funny, and I laughed with them. I look back at it now and I go, wow, that was actually so messed up, and like. And so I relate to you too, where like also even as an Asian person, like I have small eyes, and you know that was like a thing that like people would point out all the time, and so like it became part of my personality to like defend myself, and so like I 100% know where you're coming from, and like and to this day still find it hard, and the reason why I asked about the compliments thing is because like I figured you would be on the same boat as me, where it's like, you know, it's difficult to take compliments because it's hard to feel like I'm like worthy, question mark, slash like I don't, it's hard to know my own self-worth, and like it feels like it would be more validating. Well, it's like it's weird because like I feel like it's a catch-22 again, where it's like it's more validating to say that's from someone else to tell you that you're like good at something or whatever, versus you having to say it out loud by yourself. But at the same time, you can't allow people to say something good
Yeah.
about you either.
Nobody gets to win. It's like that comic of trying to take the ball from the dog, and he's like no take, only throw. But you know, the ball, you can't take the ball from the dog's mouth. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but it's like dogs literally don't give it up, and I don't want to give anyone that chance, but you know, you could try, but I won't give you the chance. So
I'm
yeah.
noticing a lot of exploratory statements and questions. Like I'm hearing people almost like think out loud, right? We're trying to find the words. I'm wondering, I know Kathy's been a little bit quieter. Kathy, is there anything that has any kind of like themes, questions, or anything that's kind of jumped out to you that you think would be, because people have been tossing out a lot, right? And even now I'm making complex kind of statements. Is there anything that you think is like a thread that we should pull on? And if not, that's okay. I'm just curious because I know it's
Um,
good to have someone be quiet. Actually, that's
I
me and you so
think
far.
there's a lot to take in. Um, yeah, it's like everyone's kind of voicing their stream of consciousness,
Yep.
which I think was the expectation coming into this. There's no
Yep.
structure, there's no agenda. So we're just kind of playing with it. Um, yeah, like Ruby has her own journey that she's dealing with, and Metric is sharing his own experience as well, although I think it's more internally based. In terms of like, I wanted to touch upon like the whole compliments thing. Like, I used to be really bad with compliments too. Like, people would tell me something, I'm like, oh, okay, thanks, you know? But then oh, sorry.
We'll let her take that because I imagine it could be important.
Hmm.
Um,
That was not my phone, so we're good. In terms of compliments, I think I kind of learned how to deal with it because I didn't want people to feel awkward or like make me just be dismissive with what they're sharing to me. Because like if I'm in their shoes, like I don't really give out compliments often, like approaching a stranger or like trying to say something heartfelt. So I try to be more like grateful about it. Just like I like learned to like smile, be like, "Oh, thank you. I like your so and so too," or like, try to give something back,
Do,
instead of just being caught off guard and being a little unsure on how to deal with it. Uh, Basically just respond in a way that makes the other person feels good too. Because their compliment is supposed to make you feel good. So I want to have like a whole win-win situation going on. Yeah, those are just my thoughts on
heaven
receiving
forbid
compliments.
someone do something nice for you and you don't jujitsu it back on them.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
I said heaven forbid that someone do something nice for you and you don't jujitsu it back on them.
I mean, you don't have to take it in. It's within your right to respond how you'd like to. But I guess I'm just kind of like, oh, they had to tell me this. They had to share this with me, so, I'll reciprocate. So I had to learn a lot of empathy.
Yeah, sounds like Kathy's made real progress there. How did you do that, Kathy?
Um, I think it was with the help of other people as well. They kind of help illustrate like, oh, your interactions with people kind of like stilted, a little bit awkward. Like it was my good friends telling me this. Like they were just one of my good friends, Kay. She's a psych major, so she's very observational. So she's been super helpful in like kind of sharing things, but she does it in a way that doesn't make you feel bad or pissed off. She's just like, oh, I noticed this and that, and that kind of helps explain what might be going on in the other person's mind. And I'm like, oh, you're right. Like people are giving compliments. I shouldn't like push them away or anything. Like if I want it to be done and over with, I can just smile and say thank you and then kind of move along with my day, right? And then I'm not souring their experience if the compliment was like totally,
Mhm.
as long as the compliment is like appropriate. If it's like something like, oh, hey babe or whatever, I just ignore them. Like know your boundaries. But yeah. I'm not sure where I was going with this, but
The
it's a whole oyster.
I had to
the
be taught as well. It made me laugh that you had a friend. I had a friend who had to tell me as well how
Yeah.
to. She was like, I know you're British, but she's American. I was in America and she took me to the side by my hand. She was like, I know you're British, but like people being nice. I was like, well, what am I doing wrong? She's like, just be a little bit more. She's like, I know you are accepting it, but just be a little bit more. And I'm like, okay. And then, yeah, I had to figure it out.
I know there's this thing that said that like, in especially in content creation, I guess, because women are, or at least female presenting people are more likely to receive like physical compliments, I think. Because they might spend more time on their appearance, or that the viewership might be more inclined to say something. Um, and then when it comes to guys, uh, there's this thing that said sometimes that like if you compliment a guy, he'll remember it for years. And yeah, there's been times where someone said something nice to me, and I still remember it, and it's been 5 years or whatever. But it makes me wonder like how many times I've shut something down, and like how many compliments I've actually like just like siphoned off to some shadow realm um that I'm denying myself. So I don't know. But also I don't want it to go to my head, because that, you know, would not be overthinking something. And who would want that?
If
There's a hokey pokey.
if you're
Y'all
yeah,
see it?
yes, and that's why I wanted to poke at it because
Good.
if you're being honest with yourself, do you actually think you would like let it go to your head? Like, do you think that if someone was like, "Yo, Metric, you are the hottest dude around," like, "Yo, this is crazy," like, do you think like the next day you'd be like, "That's right, that's me, baby, that's me," in Metric seconds. I'm so like, I don't really get that impression from you. So like, I'm curious like what you think from there, because like. It's funny hearing that from you, saying that like you think you'll let it go to your head. Like, do you honestly, you know?
I don't know, because like growing up, like I mean, I guess you'd understand it too. Is that like being the only brown kid or the only Asian kid in your area, and then you genuinely feel unattractive, uh, because you don't look like everyone else. At least that's how I felt. And only until my 20s I realized that, like, hey, women might actually want to date you and ask you out. And even then, when that happens, like, I could be in a relationship with somebody for like a year or more than a year or something like that, and I could literally just look them in the face and be like, "Are you sure? Like, are you really sure that that's how you like that you actually think I'm attractive? Like, really? Like, y- like we could go get your eyes checked." Like, it's weird because like even the fact that they want to be with me for that long, like, how does that not convince me? I don't, you know.
That's a good. That's a good question. What do y'all think? How does that not convince? So let me try to tie things together a little bit. So Zella's like, would it actually go to your head? What do y'all think? Is it going to go to his head?
No.
I don't think so.
Of course not. Right? And so then the question is like, what's going on in Metric's head? What does he do when someone sends him some kind of negative signal? And what does he do to the positive signals?
He pushes away the positive and tries to defend or stop the negative from happening, like does it himself.
Yeah. Right? So here he is reaching out with one hand and pulling himself back with the other. But if someone else is like punching him, he's like grabbing their hand and he's like, "Yeah, let's go." Right? And what do you think is the influence on that in his confidence?
I mean, it's like self-inflicted blows to your own confidence. You don't allow yourself to be confident in that scenario, right? Because you will not let someone else amplify your positivity. You know, God forbid it goes to your head. And then secondly, you absorb all the negativity and let it continue to push your self-confidence down, I feel like.
So now there's
Yeah.
kind.
I mean, like even in streaming, like, um, I am good at Darkest Dungeon. I've done it enough. You know, I can beat the game without dying, all that stuff. But like when somebody comes into stream or when somebody from my community says like, "Oh, Metric knows everything about the game," or "Metric's really good at it," like, I'm pretty damn good at the game. Like, I gotta be top 1%. You know, like, um, and I'm not the greatest streamer, and I don't think I mean, obviously, if I was, possibly would not be here. I don't know, but like, um, when somebody else comes to me and they're like, "Can you give me any tips to like getting into streaming?" My first thought is, I could think of about 300 other people that we could talk to right now who are better at this than I am, and could give you better advice. I still try to help them, still do everything I can, but like, uh, when the word peers is like I see all of you as peers. Like, I'll say the word, but that word does not necessarily mean like equals. It's like title, and then as far as like actual ability or experience, or I'll find other ways to like make sure that I see you as above me in my head. Um, Whether it's like professional experience or the way you've leveraged your streaming experience into another job, or viewership or subscribers, or down to Twitter followers, or like we could go both retweet something right now, see who gets more likes. And I will bet money on me not having as much. um and it's not that it's like a reverse competition, like I'm playing to lose. um so
Why do y'all think
yeah.
Metric is playing to lose? Why would anyone play to lose?
Because if you expect that, then you're never going to be disappointed. Like you've set yourself
I'm a
up
Toronto Maple
to.
Leafs fan. It's a sports thing. Sorry. Um, my sports team is the Toronto Maple Leafs. They never win. So we expect them to lose every year, and they do it great. Do a great job of that. So it's all their fault. Maybe.
Why do human
There are three.
beings expect to lose? Right? So Ruby said we can't be disappointed. What does it look like to expect or even hope to win? What makes that hard for Metric? What do y'all think?
Fear of failure. I mean, it sounds like in that situation where it sounds like setting an expectation high and not meeting it would be too difficult to handle, or it would be like a huge moral blow. And so rather than trying to set expectations higher, instead, if you put them really low, then you won't you can't like yeah, you just so it feels like if you're afraid of failure, that feels like what you would do to sort of mental gymnastics yourself into a situation that feels better for you.
Yeah, like success literally means losing something even bigger later on. Like getting a nice job in the industry, like getting paid nicely for it would just mean that if I lost that job, then I have further to fall. Or, maybe I'd use that money from that job to get a nice place. But then if I lose that job, then it all just falls apart. Or say I use that money to help my family and they become dependent on me or anything like that, and I lose that job, then I screw all of us. Um, it, 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 I just see this like snowball effect of falling off the hill, and how bad it could be by the time I hit the bottom. And it's like maybe it's just better to live at the bottom, because
Sorry, I'm just curious because like what you said there. So like, do you think that let's say you got a great job and you were able to support your family, but then you lost that job? Do you think that the loss of that job, that failure, would outweigh the success of helping your family during that time? Like I'm curious there.
I don't know. I don't know, because I mean, I would take the guilt with it. Um, it's like
Would you consider it a success that you supported your family during that time?
um, during the time I had it, I'd be terrified that I was going to lose it.
But would it be a good thing? Would it be a successful thing for you to be supporting
Zell,
your family during that time?
Don't keep asking questions that you know the answer
Okay.
to, and Metric
Okay.
doesn't. So if you know the answer, just say it.
The answer is yes, it would be a success, right? And that I think I don't know how to word this.
Let me jump in for a second. So
Okay.
the answer that I in Metric's mind, I think we kind of know this, right? The answer is no. Like, I don't think Metric could live 80 years of success and get canceled on his 80th birthday. And it would be an L. In the grand book of Metric's life, that's an L. It's not a W. We agreed there?
Yep.
Because that's what you're alluding to, right, Zell? Zell, what you're really asking, would you see it as he's not going to see it as a success? Should he see it as a success? Absolutely. He's not going to see it that way. We know he's not going to see it that way. Does that need to change 100%? But let's meet him where he is, which is that, because that's exactly what's going on, right? Is that there's something going on where he can climb out of the pit as much as he wants to, but I mean, there's this feeling of inevitable failure for Metric. So it doesn't matter how high he climbs because he's going to wind up in the same place.
Sounds exhausting.
Absolutely. Doesn't
So
matter
I
how
used to I used to gamify something. I realized that I talked to a therapist about it years later, but like every day when my father came home from work, I tried to see if I could get through the day without him freaking out at me. And it was like I actually turned it into a game of could I do it? Could I like do it? It's like, could you bowl a perfect game today? And I never did it. And it eats me alive. Like the only days where he didn't freak out at me were the days where I was not there or he was not there. And I guess that's the start of where I like got the idea of inevitable failure. I don't know. It's my guess.
I was going to ask a question, but it's probably very similar to Zell's. Now think about it. But I was going to say, when you are doing something and you're achieving something, like you say you're really good at the game you play and everything, are you enjoying that? Like, do you feel like an enjoyment of knowing, like, things you know you're good at?
Yes. I mean, yes. Uh, Otherwise, like, I mean, the emotions I have on stream are genuine. Uh, so when I'm freaking out that I did something, and it's hilarious or it's funny or it's amazing or something like that, or I had no idea that was going to happen. Um, those are genuine emotions. But like it could be that like the moment that I end stream is I'll look at the numbers, or you know um, I'll rate into somebody else and be like, I'm not big enough for that, or something. I'll find a way to sabotage it. Like, so yeah.
So I want to ask y'all a question. Do y'all think it's strange that no one has complimented or tried to compliment Metric?
Like right now.
Wouldn't that be a
Just over the course of this conversation.
But wouldn't it be a platitude if somebody did? It's like that you're like, nah man, you're good. And that wouldn't it be exactly what you're trying to encourage us to not do?
Yeah. You're correct. Right? So presuming it's a platitude.
I think there are things that we can genuinely compliment Metric on, but we've learned that he's not going to accept it right now. Like, it's finding, yeah, like I can want to genuinely, compliment you on things, but also like listening to what you've just said right now, it's like how to do that without it sounding like it is just an empathy, like, oh no, you're good, and
So, right? I mean, because I think it's even compliment. So I want to just acknowledge a couple things. The first is that receiving compliments is a skill that at least 2 out of the 5 people in this call have vocally said they had to learn. Right? I'll add myself to that list. I had to learn it too. So when I was training to become a psychiatrist, I had a whole hour of formal instruction about what to say when, first of all, people compliment you. And secondly, I don't know if this is hard for y'all as well, when someone says thank you. What's the right answer when someone
I
says
do the thank you dance.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What's the right answer when someone says thank you?
You're welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that answer. Oh, thank you so much for asking the question. right?
I've learned to say no worries. That's feels a bit more casual.
And what's the right thing to say when someone compliments you?
Thank you.
You can also compliment them in return, or you know, you can do both. The right thing to say is thank you. And it feels weird to just accept it. But when someone thanks you, what are they trying to do in that moment?
Show appreciation.
And if you reject it in some way, what are you doing to them?
Appreciating their compliment, like just giving it back to them, basically.
Right? You're rejecting their appreciation. So I know it's kind of weird, but just accept it. Be like, cool. Thank you. You can absolutely compliment them back, right? I think that there's a lot of value to that. There's also a lot of genuine value to saying that you can't make an answer without a question. There's a lot of like genuine reciprocity that can happen. But the key thing in my mind is whether that reciprocity is, first of all, genuine, and secondly, are you reciprocally grateful because you are uncomfortable accepting their appreciation? Right? It's totally fine to compliment other people in return, but that should not come out of, and I'm saying should here, so I'm making a value judgment, but I feel pretty good about this, that shouldn't come out of an inability to accept their compliment, right? That should come out of genuine appreciation on your side, as opposed to, I have difficulty accepting compliments, therefore I'm going to compliment you in return. And this is where I think y'all are right, that we're all very careful about we've recognized that Metric can't take a compliment, all right? Or can't receive it quite yet. I'm not saying that is a criticism, Metric. It's just the state of things. And now we have an interesting problem. Because sure, the rest of the world is going to compliment Metric because they appreciate him, because he's got a lot to appreciate, about him, which we recognize. But then how are we going to bridge that? Right? Does this mean that for the remainder of our time together, we're just not going to appreciate anything about him? And so I recognize it's kind of an unfair question, because I suspect that what'll happen is after a while, we'll assess where Metric is, and then we'll start to recognize when he's ready for it. Right? But I know it sounds kind of weird, but I think he could be ready now. Because I think no one's ever talked to him about this. And I think it was, I don't know if it was Kathy's question, but someone was asking, like, what would happen if we complimented you right now? What do y'all think would happen?
There might be silence, maybe trying to process it, don't know what to say.
Right? And that's progress, if there's silence. But I think this is the kind of thing where, like, I'm going to kind of push y'all a little bit, or I'm happy to do it myself. I think we should try, and we should actually get data. Because I know it's kind of weird, but like, this is one of the rare places that we can actually do that. Y'all get that? We can run a little social experiment where we can ask Metric, okay, Metric, get ready, bro. You're about to get fucked. Right? And what we're going to do is we're going to go around, and each of us is going to share one thing that we appreciate about you.